If you make indie folk or acoustic singer-songwriter music, you've probably had ideas that go beyond what you can record at home. Maybe you don't have a banjo lying around, maybe recording acoustic guitars isn't always an option, or maybe you just need something to spark some new ideas. Well, I put together an indie folk sample pack with banjos, guitar loops, and some pretty cool melodic guitar parts. So in this video, I'll show you how you can actually use it to help build songs, spark some inspiration, and help speed up your workflow. All right, so let me start out by playing one of my favorite melodic guitar parts from the pack. So I'm just gonna drag it in here, and here it is. This is something you can throw in right at the start of the song to spark some ideas or just kind of create an overall mood for your track. I'll get into more of this later, but I'd like to dive into some of these really cool banjo loops first. Banjos are a staple in a lot of indie folk tracks. They add a lot of movement and energy without taking over the song. However, I typically never find any on Splice, so I figured I'd record a bunch of banjo loops that indie folk artists can just drag into their tracks. So I have a bunch of banjo rolls in here. Typically, you'll hear those rolls on those big choruses from Mumford & Sons, Lumineers, Noah Kahan, etc. So let's throw one into a track just to see what it sounds like. So here's what this one sounds like on its own. And here's what it sounds like with a track. And if the key doesn't fit your track, you can always transpose it up or down just so you can get it in the right key. I've also included some banjo plucks that you can just throw right into a verse just to add a little bit of texture and a little bit of movement. Here's one that's called Wild Pines verse. The only one that's keeping me alive. She's the one that comes around. Another spot you can use these are on build-up sections. Sometimes it adds a nice little tension before that big build-up and drop. So this one's called Wild Pines Banjo Pluck. So here's what it sounds like. Oh, you've been putting up a fight. Oh, I think I finally found this right. Really cool sound here. And I also did a few little quick plucks. This one's called Whisper Banjo Pluck. Kind of cool to add right before a chorus or a big section of the song just to add a little interesting moment. So on its own, it sounds like this. And in the context of the track, small little detail, but like I said, it kind of makes it a little bit more interesting. And all these are just drag and drop, nice and easy, nice and simple. So along with these banjo loops, you'll see in here, there's these one-shots as well. So I basically put these in here so you can load them into the sampler and you have full control of what banjo sounds you want to make in here. So basically all you got to do is open a new software instrument track. You want to open up the sampler, and then what you can do is you can start dragging these in here. So the only thing you got to do here is align them up with what the name is. So I'm going to put this at B3. I'll fast forward through the rest. And then all you got to do once you drag them in is kind of just drag them over, and then you'll finally have your own little banjo samples here. And another thing you can do is just change the envelope so it doesn't suddenly stop. And now you have full control of what you want to play. So you've been putting up a fight. So kind of cool, gives you a little bit more creative control of what you're doing with the banjo section. So just another little added fun little feature to the sample pack. Next up, I'm going to show you how you can kind of start building a song from scratch using some of these loops. So in here, you'll see some of them labeled verse, chorus, intro, etc. I put them in here so it makes it easy to start arranging your track. So I'm going to drop a bunch of them in here and just kind of go over what I mean. So as you can see, I've kind of done a little bit of a mix and mash here. I have some called Embers, intro melody. I have Wild Pines, verse strum, and then I have some chorus strums here as well. And then along with that, with the guitars, I also included some banjos stuff as well. So you can actually drag and drop them, and you can have like a little skeleton of a song to just help you creatively and inspire you to build around this. So I'll show you kind of the example. So here's the first part. It's called Ember's intro melody. So nice little melody there. And then what we can do is we can drag and drop these verse drums in here. So here I have a regular verse drum. I also did a Nashville strung guitar. Here's what that sounds like together. And along with that, I also did some little banjo plucks here, so you can kind of put everything together. And as you can tell too, I made this one guitar melody very dynamic. It's really building up into that chorus. And then you have some chorus strings here. Same thing, just a regular guitar. And then I did a Nashville strung guitar here. I just open everything up and it's a big, big sounding strum. And along with that, here's a banjo roll you can put in behind it. So really, really cool stuff to really help you start arranging your tracks. The goal isn't to drop all these in and call it a finished track. It's more about sparking ideas and inspiring you to create something unique and, using your recordings around these samples to make something your own. All right, so let's get back to these melodic guitar samples. These are some of my favorite sounds in the pack. Here's one called Quiet Nights. These melodies are perfect to use in some of the intros of your track. They really, really capture that emotion and really pull the listener into the song. Here's one called Distant Shore. And I've also included a couple Hosier style melodies because he's all the craze right now. I love making melodies like this, so I figured I'd include a couple in the pack. And obviously, if the key doesn't fit your track, you can transpose it up or down. I wouldn't go too high on the transposing, but the idea for these is you can just use them as is. You can just drag them into the beginning of your song. And it really, really helps spark some creativity and just give you a building block for a song. And you can just build off this. Add your own recordings, add your own textures, and make it your own. And that's a quick look at what's in the pack. Everything here is designed to give you tools for creativity, whether you're sketching ideas, building arrangements, or just adding textures that you might not be able to record on your own. So if you want to check it out, I've included the link to the royalty-free pack at the top of the description. It's $19.99, and for a limited time, we're going to give you guys 50% off. Just use code NEWYEAR50 at checkout. And if you end up using it, I'd love to hear what you make with it. Anyways, that's it for this video. If you want more content like this, be sure to hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next one.